Companies with gender diverse executive teams are 25% more likely to financially outperform their peers. Another study found that having at least 30% of a company's senior leadership group being females versus not having any women in this group at all leads to a 15% higher profitability on average. These are impressive stats, aren't they? And very compelling. We can conclude that the gender equality business case is a no-brainer. Well, obviously not, considering the shaming fact that, according to United Nations, women still occupy less than 30% of all managerial positions worldwide. Or considering the existence of a gender pay gap, which is not a problem somewhere far away. Here in Germany, the Federal Statistical Office needed to confess very recently, just a couple of weeks ago, that it is still at 18% and has not even improved compared to 2020. So the question is, why is it that so many companies hesitate and do not provide equal chances to both men and women, notwithstanding that there's clear evidence for a positive business case? Here I'd like us to pause for a moment and to reflect if this is the right question to be asked. Does it require a business case to pursue gender equality? I mean, when arguing with the gender equality business case, what exactly is the call to action here? Something like, gentlemen, because obviously the vast majority of decision makers in companies are still male. Sorry to bother you with this awkward topic, but it seems that there are really good reasons for you to treat women fairly in hiring, promoting, and rewarding. Hey, good news, you can make more money. Is that what we want? We must stop using the business case when arguing for gender equality. Doing so is as if we wanted to convince someone to bite the bullet for the sake of making more money. And it simply conveys the wrong message. It conveys the message that gender equality is about rationally deciding for an option with the higher economic return, such as, shall we invest in North America or in Asia Pacific? Or shall we launch product A or product B? Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't believe in the validity of the gender equality business case. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, I'm convinced about the causality between gender diverse teams and a company's effectiveness in decision making, its innovation power, and ultimately its profitability. But that's not the point. Using the business case and trying to motivate companies with the argument of the business case deflects attention from the fundamental fact that gender equality is a matter of human rights. Shouldn't everyone provide equal chances to both men and women? Is that really something we have to argue about? I mean, we're talking about intelligent people here, right? Decision makers in companies. They should be capable of getting it. We must stop using the business arguing for gender equality. Equality requires the convincing arguments of higher profits. This argument, anyhow, from my perspective, falls short in so many situations. I'm wondering, does it also apply to companies that are very profitable? What about not-for-profit organizations? And what does this way of arguing make with the decision makers themselves, and with that, ultimately our society? Our way of thinking about women's rights, fairness and respect gets manipulated to see gender equality as a necessary evil. And it's just imagine how it would probably look like anyhow if a company just like accepted the necessity for gender diverse and gender equal HR policies in their pursuit of higher profits. Would they ensure 100% fairness? Would they invest in inclusion? Or would they rather strive to fulfill a quota and possibly even exclude women from decision making, even though they had officially a seat at the table? So, how do we get there? What can we do to make gender equality, let me call it common sense? In the end, of course, we can all be part of the solution, right? Well, I think we should start with accepting that we are also part of the problem. situation we're talking about here is this vicious circle of having many male decision makers in companies not providing fair chances to women. And I said it before, these are intelligent people, right? Otherwise they would not be in their positions. Intelligent people, yes, but also human beings. And as human beings, all of us, we are subject to social categorization, thinking in us versus them. And our vicious circle problem doesn't help here. Question for you. Has anyone ever heard of the similarity attraction theory? Well, I have to confess that lighting on the stage is stronger than I expected, so I can't see any hands anyhow. Let's assume that not everyone has heard of the similarity attraction theory. So let me tell you, it was confirmed, of course, by numerous studies. But it basically states that people have more positive interactions and form more positive relations with those individuals that show a high degree of similarity to them. In daily decision-making, people simply don't rationalize. And positive odds of a gender equality business case would become secondary anyhow. Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman describes it so brilliantly when he talks about System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 2 thinking is our rational way of thinking, when we take time to analyze a situation, and it helps us to solve complex tasks. This way of thinking also reacts positively to the argument of a gender equality business case. This is why ultimately no one disagrees with it. Everyone gets it, everyone agrees after having thought about it. And yet, we are miles away from gender equality because we normally think using our System 1. Quickly, automatically, no huge efforts. And this is when similarity attraction takes control. So what is important for us is to understand and to acknowledge that we have biases. Biases that possibly even exacerbate the situation. Let's take me as an example. I think it's fair to say that I'm engaged in gender equality. Well, at least as long as we assume that I'm not only standing here right now just because I had nothing else to do on a Saturday afternoon. So consequently, I have no biases whatsoever regarding women in the workplace. Under different circumstances, I would ask you to raise your hand if you had heard of the Harvard Implicit Association test, but again, I assume that not everyone has. So just grab your cell phones if you have them with you and scan the code that gets visible now. It directs you directly to the starting page of this implicit association test. Feel also free to continue listening to me and to check out the details only a little later. So this implicit association test, it allows you to actually test your biases. You can select from a couple of categories, but the good news is it's for free, which is great. What I would recommend especially is the gender career implicit association test. It welcomes you on the starting page. Maybe I had to say it warns you, saying that this test often reveals a relative link between career and male and family and female. But we are not surprised about that, are we? We knew that before. Luckily, that's not true for me. So this test takes you some 5 to 10 minutes approximately. Very easy, very straightforward. You're shown male and female names as well as terms that relate to either family or to career. And the only thing you have to do is to assign those names and those terms by clicking either the E or the I on your keyboard. Nothing else. The terms, the names, they are shown randomly, and well, of course, they wouldn't call it a test if nothing was evaluated. What they do assess actually is your response time as well as the accuracy of your responses. Luckily, I don't have any biases, and I rationally understand the necessity, yes, the urgent need for gender equality. I guess you know what's coming, right? My results. Your responses suggested a slight automatic association for male with career and female with family. Wait, what? It goes without saying that I didn't trust the results. Most likely there was bad weather, unstable internet connection, I don't know, it doesn't matter. So I took the test again. And again. And another time. Didn't get better. In one of my attempts, I even scored a strong automatic association instead of a slight one. And this automatic association refers exactly to our System 1 thinking that drives our daily behavior and our decisions, because we simply don't stop every other second to reflect on what we're doing and what we are thinking. Yes, we can be part of the solution, but we have to acknowledge that we are part of the problem as long as we are not aware of our biases that prevent us from seeing gender equality as a human right. We cannot condemn what happens to women on a societal level, such as restricted access to education, violence, forced marriage, and at the same time treat women unfairly in the workplace. This is wrongdoing as well. And no individual parallel education, no cultural differences, nothing justifies unfair treatment. Yes, we can be part of the solution, but we have to be aware of our biases. And looking at gender equality through the lens of the business case suggests that all of our decisions are exclusively well thought through and thoroughly analyzed, but they are not. I think as society, and that of course includes the private sector, we are facing enormous challenges. Not leveraging the power of gender-balanced decision-making is definitely not a good way to start off with. We're living in a pandemic for a little more than 2 years now. Hopefully, and there are some encouraging signs here and there, hopefully we have a chance of getting back to normality, even though a new normality fairly soon. And when that happens, join me in going out there and challenge biases. But watch out. These are not necessarily only biases that you can observe there. You will find them here. Call out inequality. And I'm not going to explain why it is paramount to do so. This is the no-brainer in the equation. And last but not least, dismiss the business case. We must stop using the business case when arguing for gender equality and finally understand that gender equality is an urgently needed matter of social justice, which, as a nice side effect, has also a positive business case. Thank you very much.